Here with another video. This is a topic that is a bit, to me, I believe it's super, super, super important, but it's a bit silly to discuss. And it's because it's the basics, basically. It's the basics. Like when you're talking about boxing, it's like me talking to you about like the jab, not that I'm a boxing expert, but I'm saying if it's like someone teaching you how to jab. It's basically the easiest thing to understand, and it is the fundamentals. But if you focus on the fundamentals, even though they're not fun, even though they're not fun, they are super, super, super essential and super important. And this is the difference between discipline and focus. And the difference between discipline and focus is that discipline tends to have an exponential sort of reward system, where if you do it long enough, if you're disciplined long enough, that is when you tend to get the rewards. And this is something that took me a really long time to understand. Whereas if you're focused, focus doesn't tend to last too long, unfortunately. And what I mean by focus may be slightly different from the actual definition of it. But have you ever heard someone who said, "Oh, I can sprint farther than whoever. I can get on the treadmill and I see the guy next to me and I'm gonna sprint for a longer period of time than he's sprinting. Right? I'll go faster and go longer than he's doing it." That is sort of what a lot of people have. They have focus. They have intermittent, temporary focus. A lot of people have that. A lot of people have the willpower, especially young men, myself included. And focus is super important. But for now, let me focus. No pun intended, on discipline for a second. Okay, let me talk about discipline for a second. So discipline is you going to the gym every day, even if you don't feel like it, right? Discipline is you working, having a YouTube channel and working on things that you don't want to work on, like editing or whatever. And I know for my YouTube channel, that's the part that's lacking. Discipline is lacking in my YouTube channel because I'm not working on the parts that I don't feel like working on. I'm just making the videos, speaking into a mic, and that's basically it, just keeping it easy and simple. And that is over time that might get me some followers, but I need to be disciplined at some point, hopefully soon. I need to be disciplined to do the things that I do not feel like doing, the marketing part of it, the editing part of it, the thumbnail part of it, getting better thumbnails, getting people who know what they're doing to help me out with all that stuff. So that is a discipline. Discipline is going to the gym every day, even though you don't feel like it, even though you're having a bad workout a couple of days in a row, and just pushing through it and finishing everything. And then discipline is getting your diet in order even when you don't feel like eating the right things, even when you don't feel like getting a certain number of protein or amount of protein in your diet, still doing it. Even when you don't feel like basically changing your strategy when it comes to workouts, still do it. Even when you're doing a workout, a machine that you're not really too strong at, but you're switching it up. And I'm not a gym expert either, so bear with me. But switching it up to something that's gonna get you more gains or help you look better. So that is the discipline. Discipline goes into multiple different aspects of you have an end goal and you sort of have a guide on how to get there, but staying disciplined to not skip any of the steps to get there, right? Staying, um, making sure that you do not skip any of the steps to get there, and eventually it's going to take you a while still, even with discipline, especially with discipline, because it's a slow growth. And eventually you're going to hit a point, that 0 point right there, or close to it on the graph, and it's going to be exponentially. You're going to grow exponentially after that, just as long as you keep hammering at it day after day after day, just making tweaks and tweaks and tweaks and tweaks day after day. The 1%, 1%, 1% leads to exponential growth, and this is what discipline is. Discipline leads to exponential growth. Now, focus is super important as well because focus, this is sort of the peaks that you see here are focus. You see the downtrend at some point in the graph, in the sort of first quarter of the graph right there. There's a down point. To get yourself out of that down point, that took some focus. To go back up on an uptrend, that takes focus. That's what focus is. It's a blast of energy at some point, right? And in my mind, at least. And that is the difference between discipline and focus, and they're both important in certain times, right? But discipline will get you the exponential growth that you're looking for, whereas focus will get you a temporary growth to get you out of a certain state. And a lot of people have focus. Focus is much more common than discipline is, right? Like if I see myself getting fat, I can get myself on a diet for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and lose a few pounds. Not the healthiest way to do it, but lose a few pounds because I put the willpower in there. I put the focus in there on the diet aspect or on the working out aspect. And then after those 3 weeks, this 3 week sprint that I was on, then I'll gain some more weight and then I'll push myself up again and then I'll gain some more weight. It is not as efficient as discipline. If I stay disciplined every day for a year or 2 years or 3 years, that is how I would get exponential growth. Whereas focus is important because focus, first of all, will get you out of a rut or can help you get out of a rut. Focus is also important because it shows you what you are capable of, right? The dangers of focus are that sometimes you do something and you push yourself so hard that you promise yourself. And if you've been to the dark places that some of these people, including myself, have been through when they're focused on a goal and they're just focused on that goal for 2 weeks or whatever, and they go to the darkest places just to do that goal. Whether, I feel like MMA fighters deal with that a lot. They're just like, all right, I'm gonna go into that fight. I'm gonna train for this next month or 2 months or 3 months. And once you do that enough times, at some point you're gonna be like, you know what, screw this. I don't want to ever go through this pain again. And you might stop it. So that's the dangers of focus if you push yourself too hard. Whereas the importance of focus is that it shows you what you're capable of, and that is the beauty of focus as well. So anyway, I hope this video was kind of useless, was kind of useful to some of you guys. I know it's not going to get a lot of views, regardless of my following. Even if my following grows exponentially at some point, this video is going to be one of the least viewed videos, but one of the most important. The fundamentals are always super, super important. Thanks, guys.